Chasing Better with Knoxy, coming in with some amazing stories. Hey guys, Knoxy here, coming in from the Castle Flex up on the hill in Meadow Springs, just north of Mandurah in Western Australia. So wanted to launch my first ever episode of our official podcast, Chasing Better with Knoxy. And mainly the big reason and purpose for this is to give not only some amazing people and friends of mine a platform to share their stories of better, but to also help inspire those around. A lot of people listen to podcasts these days, which is brilliant for learning benefits and hearing their favorite sports stars tell their incredible stories and things like that. But I think just the general population, working as a head strength and conditioning coach at my own facility, the Body Consultants, the crazy thing is that everyday people have incredible stories, and so many of them never get to be told or never get to be heard by the general population. So my goal is to try and give not only my amazing members that have had incredible transformations and wicked stories of changing their own lives with us at the gym, a chance to talk and tell their story, but also allowing friends of mine that have had incredible stories as well to share as well. So the big thing really is just to make sure that we can get that out there to the general population. And we're joined today by none other than our own Lauren Gilham. She has had an amazing transformation with us here at TBC over the last probably 18 months.
No, just over 12.
Just over 12 months, yeah. So, an amazing transformation in terms of the fact that she was probably one of the quietest people I've met in a long time. We didn't really get much out of her in her first couple of sessions in terms of like actual spoken words. She kind of came in, got the job done, and then would leave as soon as she possibly could, which is something I see quite often as a coach. But I suppose the big thing really is, welcome aboard, Lauren, and thanks for being my first ever guest. Like, it's really cool to have you on today. And I suppose, like, how are you feeling with everything COVID-wise at the moment? Obviously, it's the in topic. What was it like to have the gym taken away from you for 12 weeks nearly? I think it was. Yeah.
It was absolutely shocking.
Yep.
I had gotten into such a good routine before, and having that all blown out of the way, and not having the gym when I needed it, plus then still going to work and juggling that. Obviously, I still had to work. I didn't have that option of I didn't lose my job because of it. So then my whole routine went out. But thanks to, at least with you and Carissa, still trying to find a way to keep us on track, still being able to do some training. Like, I didn't fall off the bandwagon basically. So a lot of that is thanks to you guys for keeping somewhat of a routine for me. And I think that's what I needed through these hard times. Now we're all excited that the gym's back.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I suppose probably the first thing to elaborate is what do you do for work with yourself? Like, what's kind of your role in society at the moment?
I work in an aged care facility, so I do a lot of shift work, jumping from morning shifts, afternoons, nights. So sleep's a big issue, but with you guys, making sure that I'm training, getting enough sleep, nutrition in, I still find that I have enough energy to get through the day, especially with those changes of hours. So
yeah,
it's
perfect.
One-to-one with different people.
Yeah. So to give people an idea, now care nurse work is like frontline, especially at a time like this. It's been pretty chaotic, as most people can imagine. I suppose the big thing really is like, what's some of the stresses you've had to put up with in your own kind of day-to-day life during this process?
Not just my stresses, but the stresses that came from our residents as well. Like, we got locked out, so we didn't have, we had extra behaviours that happened. So then it's the stresses of the residents that made it hard on us. So then it was creating stresses for us.
Yep.
As to how to deal with these situations. You always say, like, you leave work at the door when you leave and stuff like that. It doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes those things stick with you.
I can totally relate being a gym owner, mate, and a coach. Like.
You get all those messages from us, like,
exactly,
complaining about that we're sore.
I'm so glad you're aware of that.
Yes.
That's great.
But we enjoy doing this. You wouldn't do it if you didn't enjoy it.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Got to do something with passion. So caring for others, has that been something you've always had a passion for? Like, where did that kind of stem from? Was it something that you just like, oh cool, I'm 18 and need a job, so you just got into it? Or like, how long have you been doing it for?
I've actually only been doing it for professionally for the last 2.5 years.
Okay, cool.
I used to care for, my nan played in a darts team, and one of her people that she played darts with, her partner had cancer. He had a few different other things going on. So I spent a lot of time helping her out because she was elderly as well. She couldn't do a lot. She couldn't help with his showers. She couldn't do a lot around the house. So I helped pitch in. She'd go away on holidays. Obviously he couldn't travel. So when she'd go away on holidays, I'd stay and look after him. I'd make his dinner, help him get changed, do all the basic stuff, do his shopping, help take him to appointments because he needed someone to travel with him. So that kind of like, at that stage, I was just doing it to help out. Got to know him a bit more and actually felt like this is where I'm being called to. This is my passion. I'm enjoying this.
Awesome.
Looked into how I could study it and eventually did my Cert 4. Had a rocky start to doing that being in hospital. Missed my first couple of assessments. I was a couple of months behind everyone else. Put in the extra work because it was something I was passionate about to catch up, and still got to graduate with everyone else. Got straight into a job.
Yeah, right.
And haven't looked back.
Fantastic. So I suppose probably a great thing today to go through would be, let's run down some numbers. Now, you're a strong female presence in our gym. We've got a fairly large female base in terms of our audience, in terms of the members at the gym and the club. And, you know, yes, we do train guys as well, but we're definitely female dominant, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I think probably the big thing is like, what's probably your first kind of memories of starting with us at TBC? Like, what was kind of like, I suppose for the guys at home, you know, we're hopefully trying to inspire, as we said, you know, people in everyday life that they might be stuck, they don't know where to start, they don't know how to take that first step, and they don't know whether they'll be good enough. I think that's probably a massive thing that I see personally as a coach, but for yourself, like, give us a bit of an insight as to day one, walking into the club for your initial consult with myself.
Well, actually, originally it started a few days before when I had a shift with Heather, who again is at the gym. She'd been with these guys for like 2 weeks. I had a shift with her at work, and she's telling me how good she's going with the gym and everything. And she's like, "Come on, come give it a go." Just pumping it up, telling me like all the good experiences she was having. And right there and then I was like, maybe like I'll give it a go. Like I was that maybe sort of person. And she's like, "No, I'll message Andrew right now." She messaged you and she's like, "You got a consult on Saturday." And that's when like it started. Basically it was that drive, that extra person pushing me. And I think for me that's what I needed. I needed that extra person to help me take those first steps.
Okay. And
then you guys obviously had like your boot camp in the morning on Saturday, and I came in after that, and we had our consult. And
so what was running through your head when you first walked through the doors?
I was absolutely scared.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
so
my big thing.
That scared, like, was it you were scared of the facility, the people, like you had no idea what you were in for? Like what was kind of probably the most fearful thing?
I think it was seeing the gym itself. Like a lot of people associate, like when you think about gym, like they think lots of machines, lots of like, I just say big buff guys, super skinny girls that are basically just there for photos and to look better.
Yeah, cool.
And that's what was running through my mind. Like I'm a bigger person, so it was that initial like, I'm scared, I can't live up to these standards and stuff like that. But actually getting in the gym, finding that everyone's got their own story, their own paths that they're on, and stuff like that, made me see like it's about me, not what everyone else was looking at. Yeah. I think that's sort of where it was going.
So I suppose probably a big thing is, I've heard it mentioned a lot through some of my mentors, is being stuck in the comparison game.
Yeah.
Now, I've mentioned this to you guys a few times as members and things like that. And I suppose something that a lot of people in this day and age, with the age of social media, we're all on our phones and all that sort of stuff, we're commonly getting stuck, not in the rat race anymore, but we're getting stuck in that comparison game. It's like, cool, can I be like Arnie Schwarzenegger and have 22-inch pythons? Like, can I, look like Lauren Simpson, Australia's best fitness model at the moment, currently, potentially? Like, what does that look like? What do I have to do that? And it's like, I think the problem with that I find is everyone should feel safe in their own skin to be able to do their own thing, to like be themselves, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's very quickly becoming the norm, is that people don't know how to be themselves anymore. And apparently that's where I find a lot of people's anxiety, depression, self-doubt, all of these fearful kind of negative mental health effects, I think is really starting to affect. I mean, what's kind of your take on that? Like, do you feel that that's something?
That was exactly where I was before.
Yeah.
Depression was a big thing. I've always suffered with depression since I was like 12, 13 years old.
Okay. Just on that, like, as a 12-year-old kid, like, what's it kind of like to, like, how do you feel you knew that you were depressed at that stage? Like, what?
Constantly sad, isolating myself all the time.
Yep.
My relationship with my friends and my family, like, there was nothing there anymore.
Okay.
I felt I was literally on my own, finding my own ways through things. And it was super hard.
Yeah.
Background story of that was I blamed myself for everything.
Yep.
And it wasn't until a few years later that I actually found out like what the full story was on what was going on. But still since then, like, I've always still had depression issues. But since in the last 12 months, finding the gym, finding better in myself, I haven't had that many issues. Again, like, I don't medicate for it or anything. On a personal choice, like, not saying people shouldn't. It's everyone's choice is different when it comes to their mental health.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
For me, it wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah.
But finding the gym helped me get through that.
Sweet.
Definitely mental health wise, it's a lot better coming to the gym.
Fantastic. So, I mean, that in itself is a massive win. Self-medication and even just prescribed medication can be like the go-to norm. And I'm always having that struggle with members, as you can imagine. But I think something that's really powerful, especially to people out there, is like, have that open mind and make sure you look at all avenues before just diving into something. And I think that's really powerful when it comes to medication and stuff like that, because we've got members that have lessened their depression medication purely just by being a member for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And they're seeing all these benefits of being around other people. They're in a positive environment. They're getting wins each week by purely adding a kilo to their weights and stuff like that. Or just getting used to showing up, right? Like, that's a massive thing I've found. So no, like, kudos to that. I think that's really, really powerful, because to hear that you actually made that choice to not go the medication route and try something else first, I think that's really, really powerful. So well done on that. I suppose, how long had you been feeling that you needed change and that you were, did you ever feel that you were capable of something more?
Yes and no. Like, I knew like there was more, like I could do more, there was more to come, like that I could do better, but it was finding that way to take the next step.
Yep.
Like, I was always that one that self-doubted all the time. Take the easy way out, because that was the easy way. Like, that's the way I'd always known. But then in the last year and a half, like, I took a big step out. Like, I moved all the way out here, 100 k's away from my comfort zone, to be closer to work, to basically start afresh. Was out here less than 6 months, and now I'm joining the gym and a year in and feeling better than ever, happier. And I feel like I've got my self-confidence back. I'm happy. I know what sort of route like I want to take for life and where I want to be.
That's a big word right there, happy, right? Yeah. So something I found, especially with the whole COVID situation, lockdown, however you want to put it, like, happiness is something that people have had taken away from them. And that's why I led with that gym question earlier, like, what did it feel like to have it taken away from you? It's like, that's something I can relate to with my weight loss originally was that, you know, I always thought I was the big jolly fat guy, right? Because I'd always been a big kid and all that sort of stuff, but I didn't know that better was possible.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do you ever feel that, like looking back at it now, like, you know, even your teenage years, even as a kid, like, do you feel that kind of childhood innocence side of things and just not knowing and not being aware of the bigger picture? Like, do you feel that you were kind of shut off from, you know, potentially being a better version of you at times?
I think so, because like obviously like especially in my teenage years, like there was a lot going on, so like I kind of learnt to grow up a bit too quick.
Yeah. Okay.
As well. Like everything was about like I started working really early, being like having a single mom and stuff like that through high school, and still having two younger siblings. I learnt like responsibilities really quick, so I didn't really have that fun get to make mistakes sort of time.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally understand.
It was basically work, school, house duties.
Yeah.
I did like I still got to go out and experience things to an extent, but it wasn't like I look back at all my friends like and the things they were doing and all this stuff. I didn't have all of those opportunities.
So it sounds like you had a lot of responsibility thrown on you at a younger age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
But it made me grow up.
Yeah.
I guess.
Perfect. So I suppose you were probably equipped with like some very powerful tools to deal with situations of, you know, stress and stuff like that. But then again, obviously being sheltered for a lot of your, you know, shutting off from society and, you know, not hanging out with mates as much as you probably could and all that sort of stuff. I suppose it's probably that kind of catch-22 situation, isn't it?
Definitely.
So that's cool. So I suppose let's talk some numbers. Like everyone loves facts and figures. You've had an absolutely phenomenal transformation with us in 12 months. Let's run through some of the stats. So when you first joined us, what were you probably weighing in at roughly?
I think it was 121.7.
Yeah, cool. Now, how long do you reckon you'd been at that weight roughly, give or take?
Couple of years.
Yeah, cool. So do you find that there had been a lead up to getting to that size where, you know, you felt like it had been like 6 months of like it was really getting bad, or was it just like an ongoing, you know,
I think it was more just
habits?
Ongoing bad habits sort of thing.
Yeah, cool. And, you know, with that said, what are you weighing in at now?
We got down to 105.9, I think it was.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So the incredible thing is, guys, for those listening on the podcast, is that Lauren is, how tall are you?
176 centimeters. So
Yeah.
I don't actually know how much that
So she's not crazy tiny. So she's just under 6 foot. But the awesome thing is that you have a really strong upper body frame. You know, you've got that typical, all your mass is kind of to the top half of your body, which is crazy. You still have really strong legs, which is awesome. But I think the fantastic thing is like that 16 kilos is just phenomenal. Like that's a huge drop for you. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, she's still like over 100 kilos. It's like, that doesn't mean shit in my opinion. I personally, like, numbers are numbers. Like, you're doing fantastically well for someone who'd never really been in a gym before.
No.
I mean, you'd never step foot in a gym, right?
I had like in those typical commercial gyms a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it was just like, not my
Awesome.
sort of thing.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you'd had a couple of stints here and there, but I suppose the big thing really is like, you've now seen what it's like to keep it simple, show up each week, get that little bit better. I mean, that's actually probably another like nice little segue. Like, did you feel you had to be perfect within that first week? Like, did you feel for this to stick and be a lifelong change, I've got to get it done this week, otherwise I'm probably not going to stick to it?
No, I think my thing was more just showing up that first week.
Yeah.
Like every day showing up to gain that routine for me. That was my big thing. It wasn't so much getting through the whole session. It wasn't lifting super heavy. It wasn't any of that. Like, I took it at my own pace, but it was that initial show up every day, get myself into that routine, and that's how I'm going to stick to it.
Were you pretty good with routine just in your day-to-day life beforehand? So even just getting to work and stuff like that, like, was that still kind of...
Work was like that obviously I had to go to work, so
Yep.
like there wasn't much of a choice there.
Yep.
So I didn't really class it as a routine. I had to go to work.
Yep.
Didn't have a choice. I needed the money.
Yep.
But when it came to besides work, I would say, yeah, let's do it. And half the time it never happened, or it was like, we'll do it later.
Yeah.
But this was like set times, pick your time.
Yeah.
We're going every day.
Let's go.
So getting through that first week, those 5 sessions for that first week, was my big thing. I knew if I could do that for the first week, I could stick to it.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean that's really cool. So I mean, like, you can see how difficult it can be for people at first when they're like, oh yeah, like I'm pretty good with routine. It's like, okay, show me your routine. And they're like, oh, well, I go to work every day. It's like, awesome, but what do you like outside of work?
Yeah.
And again, this is where the real honest facts come out, where people are like, oh, hang on, I'm not as good as I thought I was, right? Yeah. So I mean, that's really cool. I suppose now that we've seen a bit of the transformation side of things, like you're pulling 100 kilos off the floor in deadlifts, you know, technique is like fantastic and things like that. What's probably your biggest takeaway so far from being a regular gym goer and eating better week in, week out? Like what's probably your biggest takeaway that if you were to tell someone listening now that was like, you know, stuck in the rut, they've got mental health issues in terms of anxiety, depression, they don't know where to start, whatever the case may be, they're just looking to chase down their own better, like what would be your kind of one big takeaway for them to like potentially get started?
Basically learning to eat to fuel your body was my biggest thing.
Okay.
Before it was just takeaway, easy stuff, and I was feeling so lethargic all the time. Now learning to eat better to fuel my body for what I'm doing each day.
Yep.
Gives me so much more energy, sleeping better. I'm just bouncing off the walls all the time. Even after work, like I'm still, like my day shifts, I'm up at 6 o'clock, I go to work 7 till 3, come home, get my meals prepped, and then I'm coming to the gym at 6:20 at night, and I'm still good. Like I've still got energy. It's that taking the first step is the hardest, but it's definitely worth it.
Fantastic. That's sick. I love that. It's and I mean that's what we're big about, right? Like the first step is just show up.
Yeah.
Because if you can show up week in, week out, like all the stuff falls into place, right?
Definitely.
Like you started to learn more about your food, like you said.
Yeah.
You started to learn more about technique. You started to learn more about, okay, I don't need to smash myself every week. I just need to get that little bit better each week, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's just, it's so important in this day and age. Like we said with the comparison game earlier, it's like everyone's trying to be perfect day one. Like, it's like, cool, I've seen this image of like the perfect body, the perfect way to live, the perfect lifestyle, all this sort of stuff, the perfect car, the perfect house. It's like, awesome, I have to have that tomorrow. It's like, it just doesn't happen that way.
No.
And I think that is a really powerful message from like yourself as a client and someone who's never really stuck at a gym before. I think that's really, really cool. So like massive kudos for that. And I suppose probably in closing, I think, you know, what are you most excited for in the next 12 months and beyond in terms of your own personal growth, and what can you see being something that you'll never go back to?
Never going back to like not going to the gym. That's my big thing. Like I love this place.
We've got a new Coke addict here.
Yes. Literally could not picture my life without TVC anymore. I'm driven, I show up, put in the effort, and I feel so good for it. But not just that, I've made huge amount of friends, good community. You guys are on my ass all the time, so to do one better, I think that's my big thing, is I just couldn't go back to not having that connection with lifting better, technique-wise. I'm happier, healthier, and I look forward to where my goals are going to take me in the next 12 months. Like I've got some big goals that I want to work towards, especially in fact, like
have you got any of those goals in mind already that you're starting to plan out?
At the moment, I actually want to look at entering a powerlifting competition.
Yeah, nice. I know we've talked about that. That's awesome.
So that's probably my big thing.
Very exciting.
I know what I've got to work on, where I've got to go, so it's just putting in the effort. doing as much as I can, and potentially in the next 12 months look at doing that. That's my big goal right now.
Awesome. That is super exciting. Well, guys, like hopefully that has brought you some inspiration. I'm fired up as hell as always, but that's me on a daily basis anyway. But it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on for our first ever inaugural, whatever you want to call it, episode of Chasing Better. And can't wait to see your progress in the next 12 months. Like you said, you've got a big goal there for powerlifting, and we are behind you the whole way for that. And guys, if you want to follow Lauren's on Insta, she's on Facebook. If you want details, like reach out in the comments below. Make sure you reach out and say, thank you for sharing the story. It can be difficult at first to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to share something as powerful as your own journey.
I think if I could get through that first day of having to take my top off and take photos, I could get through anything.
The progress photos,
yes.
Everyone loves them. No, that's awesome. And guys, if you are in need of chasing your own better and you're looking for that first step, by all means, reach out to myself. TBC is on all of the social media platforms. The other thing as well, guys, like even if you aren't able to train with us, like make sure you do take that first step, take action, find out what it is that you want, find something that you're passionate and you love doing. So whether that's yoga, Pilates, strength training, kickboxing, whatever, like find that thing that makes you fired up every day, and the results will come. Like find something that you're truly passionate about. Lauren's found her passion in moving weights and throwing steel around, which is really, really cool and exciting for us. Yeah, smashing watermelons. And I suppose as a little bonus, like if you're wanting to see the video of Lauren crushing a watermelon with her thighs, like out in the backyard, whose place was that at?
Chrissy's.
Chris. So absolutely fantastic. Her reaction on the video is priceless, and it's definitely worth a watch. If we can make that go viral, that'd be sick. Guys, if you are reaching out, make sure to get in touch. We're always here to help, and by all means, there is always someone around to help you find your better and chase down your better. That's been episode 1. I think that's all from us, and thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
Alrighty. You!